This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. The Big O
We
Show.
promised you we're going to switch gears, talk a little football, and of course, Michelle Kaufman does an excellent job of covering Inter Miami and the MLS for the Miami Herald. Follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports. Michelle, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good. What'd you think of the games the last couple of nights? I thought Philadelphia got screwed, by the way. I thought it should have been 2-2 at that moment.
Yeah.
That offsides was so... I thought it was a brilliant pass, actually. I thought it was a brilliant play by the two guys, and I felt so bad for Philadelphia and for the fan like me because it would have added a lot of drama to the end of that game, which had a lot of drama at the end of that game.
Yeah. No, there were a lot of good games. I like Philadelphia. I mean, that's a team that didn't really get much attention, and they played very, very well this whole tournament. And having a local guy, Alejandro Bedoya, being such a big part of that team. I've always sort of felt like, for people down here that they should be rooting for, now that Miami has a team, obviously, but before that, Philly's a very good team, very good team. The coach is very good. I was very impressed with him, Jim Curtin. And Bedoya is a great, great team leader. He's a great captain. He's from here. He played at Weston FC, and, he went to St. Thomas Aquinas, so he's our true local player who's really made it.
Yeah, and by the way, Philadelphia lasted long, and Orlando made it to the finals. Those are two teams that were in the group with Miami, too. So it shows...
it goes to show that Miami was in a tough group, and Miami played Orlando very, very close. I mean, that game could have gone either way. You remember that's the game with the injury, with Rose was taken off the field on a stretcher, and everything changed after that, and that game really could have gone either way, and Orlando is playing outstanding. I mean, they're in the final. Yeah. Nobody would have picked that. Nobody would have picked Orlando and Portland to be in the final.
No, not at all. But you know how important this is for Orlando because they have not been able to bust through and get into the playoffs since they got into the league a few years back. And Nani put on a show yesterday. I mean, that second goal was just...
Oh, he's very good. I mean, I think he probably should get MVP for the tournament. I know there are other people deserving too, but he's had an outstanding tournament. And they have a new coach also, who apparently has made a big difference. And they're home. I mean, even though it's not really home, but that is their home city. They are playing in their home city, in their home climate. In a place that they're familiar with. So even though they're not really home, they have it, and there aren't any fans. I think there's a tiny bit of a home field advantage for them.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a good moment for the franchise because they kind of needed some success, and maybe that even helps them now when the regular season starts. As for Miami, so what is the latest with our beloved Inter Miami? Do we have any transfer rumors going on?
There definitely are rumors. There definitely are. I am hearing that they do hope to sign a player or maybe even two next week. The transfer window, the MLS transfer window opens August 12th. That's next Wednesday. So, if there's going to be any news, it's going to be around there. They have been working very hard, talking to players in Europe and in South America. They, from what I'm hearing, they are hoping to sign a new, an attacking type player. And it could be next week when the transfer window opens. I know that Paul McDonough has said all along that he wanted to add two more pieces to the roster, two important pieces, significant, designated player type player or players before the season resumes. And the season, they're going to announce tomorrow. It was going to be today. Now they're going to announce tomorrow. MLS is announcing the schedule for the rest of the season. But the word is that the regular season is going to resume in markets on the weekend of August 21st, which is in 2 weeks. Dallas and Nashville are going to play before that. If you recall, those are the two teams that went home from the bubble because they both arrived infected. So they didn't get to play in the tournament, so they have to make up those 3 games that they missed. So I hear that they are going to play, this over the next 10 days. They're going to play 2 games against each other in a neutral location, and then the regular season will resume on August 21st, and I believe in Miami may be playing a home game that weekend. Its first official home game. The other and the way it's going to work, again, from what I'm hearing, none of this is set in stone until they announce it, but I am hearing that for the first phase of the season, it's going to be a regional games, so that they don't have to travel far, and that they may even play those teams twice. The teams that I believe would be in Miami's little grouping would be Atlanta and Orlando and Nashville, is what I think. And so, again, not an easy out with Orlando. We've already seen that they're making the final of this, and they're going to be on a major roll. And then Atlanta is Atlanta. That's a very good team. And then Nashville, I believe, may be in their grouping as well. So the idea is they want teams to be able, in the Northeast and in the Northwest, their Pacific Northwest, a lot of the teams can drive to, they can drive between New York, Philly, the teams in the Northeast can drive to each other. Some of the teams in the Midwest can drive to each other. They want the teams to use only private planes or buses to get to this first phase of games. While we're waiting for the numbers to drop of COVID, they're trying to be careful with how far these people are traveling, and they don't even want them to stay overnight. If possible, they want them to drive to the game or fly to the game and go back the same, the next night, or have only one night on the road, maximum. So I think at the beginning, Miami will have some games at home, and the farthest that they would travel, I think, would be Atlanta, Orlando, and maybe Nashville. Then in October, there will be a second phase, quote unquote, of the season where they would travel a little bit farther. And then the playoffs would be in November, and the MLS Cup would be in mid-December. The other news about this is that the commissioner said the other night on national TV that some of the markets are going to allow fans. Each market is going to determine based on where they are with COVID and what their city and county and health officials say. But some markets are going to allow a limited number of fans to attend games. I have not heard anything about here. We are obviously still in a hot spot of a state, so I'm not sure that Fort Lauderdale is going to be ready to accept fans right now. But maybe at some point later in the season, there's a possibility that a limited number of fans would be able to go with very strict protocols and spacing and all that. But they are talking about some fan attendance at games going forward.
Well, I mean, if it's up to the Atlanta governor, I mean, they'll have the 70,000 stadium without masks.
Oh, yeah, well, that's true, yeah.
Without masks. Without masks.
Right.
The Atlanta mayor will require masks, but the governor will sue her and then enforce it without masks, kind of like what they're doing in the schools now, which was interesting this week here in Georgia.
Yeah, I saw that about the Georgia school, yeah.
They suspended.
But yeah, so I mean,
and by the way, they suspended
the girl. I know, but I bet she'll get to come back. She's got lawyers, so they don't really have a good case for suspending her.
No, they don't. Oh, they don't. She's actually doing something very American, by the way, trying to keep people safe. So she's actually doing something really. She's actually the only responsible person out of that whole situation, which is the crazy part about all that. Okay, so is it a way, because you hear Brady now and Tampa, they're trying to create their own bubble, which is something that I talked about, that I thought NFL teams should have 32 bubbles, like, every team
you just stay in a hotel, stay in a hotel and just go to practice.
So is the MLS, it kind of sounds in a way what you were describing. The MLS is trying to also say, okay, guys, when we leave this bubble, we need to control everybody's, individual environment as much as possible. It sounds like you're describing some kind of fashion of that. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, they definitely. Yeah, I mean, Commissioner Garber said that they learned a lot in this bubble Since July 12th, they've done, I believe it's 9,500 tests within the bubble and had 0 positives out of 9,500 tests. So the bubble definitely worked. Once the 2 infected teams left, there has not been a single positive test. But they have been basically, quarantined. I mean, they're only amongst themselves at the hotel, and then they take their own bus to go to the facility, and everybody is within that bubble. When they leave the bubble, they're going to go back to their home markets. They're going to be with their families again and friends, whatever. They still are testing every other day. Inter Miami has been tested every other day since they dropped out of the tournament. All the MLS teams in the bubble or out of the bubble were required to be testing every 48 hours. And then, going forward, they want these teams to stay as isolated as they possibly can. They're not going to do multiple city road trips. They really don't want them to travel far. Like I said, for the Orlando game, I guarantee you they're going to drive, and I'm not sure, maybe in Atlanta. They want the teams to either take a private plane or drive to the first round of games, and they made them all regional. So, it'll be like Seattle, Portland, and San Jose. We'll play a little round-robin-y type of thing over there, and the Southeast teams will play each other, the Northeast teams will play each other, the Midwest teams will play each other, and then their hope is that by October, if things are a little better, that they can expand the travel a little bit farther. So they're kind of doing it in phases. It's kind of like a phase 1, phase 2, and the same with fans. Each market is very different. There are some markets where it would be fine to have a certain number of fans, and there are other markets where they're not going to do that. The majority are not. He did say the majority of the cities are probably not going to have fans, but there are some cities where they might do a limited number of season ticket holders would be able to get tickets or whatever. So, we'll see going forward what happens. As far as the potential players to come here, I think when I spoke to you last time, I spoke to you about Willian, the Brazilian guy, who was on Chelsea, and there were all these talks about him, and Miami offered him a very lucrative contract. But the latest thing I heard is that he's going to Arsenal, that he got some big deal from Arsenal, and I read somewhere that his agent is also kind of plugged in with Arsenal, so it doesn't surprise me, but I think he may be ending up there. David Silva, that we talked about, from Manchester City, has also been rumored to be coming here for a long time, but other teams are involved, and now the latest thing I'm hearing from him is that Lazio in Italy is offering him a private plane, some kind of fancy villa, and a huge salary. So don't be surprised unless David Beckham and Jorge Mas are going to come up with a private plane and a villa. I don't know that they're getting David Silva. What I am hearing, the name I'm hearing is Arturo Vidal, who plays for Barcelona. He's a midfielder, Chilean national team player for a long time. He's played for Leverkusen, Juventus, Bayern Munich, and Barcelona. So he's played on all the big teams. He's played in 2 World Cups with Chile. I think they're looking to shop him around, and he would be open to that. And I heard that Miami has been in talks with him. Another guy that's been mentioned for a long time is not over in Europe. It's a young player, but a guy with Boca Juniors named Agustin Almendra. He has been back in February. Jorge Mas said, we are very close to signing Almendra. It's just a matter of a couple of weeks. And then COVID came and everything went down the drain. He's 20 years old. He's being looked at by some really big clubs in Europe too. So I think what they want to do is get one veteran player from Europe, and then maybe an Agustin Almendra type guy, very talented young player from South America to fill a second spot. So that's what I'm hearing. They say that they're determined to sign somebody. They're hoping to sign somebody next week when the MLS transfer window opens August 12th. So we'll see what happens. And also Robbie Robinson is still MIA. The number one draft pick of the entire MLS draft, who played very well the first 2 games, started the first 2 games, plays forward, a position where they're struggling.
I like it.
And he left the bubble on July 6th for personal reasons to go back home to South Carolina to be with his parents, and he has not returned yet. So they're still missing him as well. So, up front, up top, they really do need to improve up there. And I think they need to improve by signing one or two new players.
I'm sure it's going to end up happening. Moss is too driven to win. He's just not going to sit around and watch his team not be in the spotlight. So that's
right.
That's the
and Paul McDonough too. Right.
Yeah, but you and I have been around sports long enough. It starts with the dude at the top. If the dude at the top doesn't want to win, you're not going to win. But I'm telling you, because I've been around the man. He's cutthroat.
He's cutthroat, and he hasn't gotten to where he is. Yeah, he's maniacal. He is
maniacal about winning. And if you're an Inter Miami fan, that's what you want to hear. That your owner wants to win so badly, it kills him. Okay.
Yeah. It does, and I think
I want every Inter Miami fan to know that however you feel after a loss is a fraction of what Jorge Mas and his brother feels after losses.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Those guys, I'm telling you, those guys want to win badly, and they will build a winner here. Trust me. They will build a winner
No. They want to win badly, and to the point that I think Jorge maybe had unrealistic expectations at the beginning of. He aimed very, very, very high.
Yeah.
I think some people around the league probably raised their eyebrows because he was talking about some of the biggest names in the game potentially coming here. And, I think he really believed it. I really do.
Oh, yeah?
He's never been a sports owner before. And, he's done an incredible job in the business that he's in. Sports, as you know, is very different. These athletes and their agents use people to get better deals from where they are or from another team that they really want to go to. And, he really had never dealt in the sports world before. It's a very different world. Not that there isn't all that kind of negotiating going on in the real business, the other kind of business world, but I think sports is different. And he really aimed very, very, very high, as did David Beckham. And I think they're seeing that these guys that they're reaching out to, they're having serious conversations with them. The players act like they're interested. The agent acts like they're interested. And then at the end of the day, some European team comes in and swoops in with a private plane or a salary that's out of the range of what they can pay here, and they end up, staying there. So it's been a very difficult task for them. Right now in the league, there really aren't that many huge name players right now. If you think about it, the league is. The Mexican players are coming over, and they're going young.
They're going young,
they're going young, and they're going to Mexico.
And I got to tell you, Michelle, that's the smartest thing this league has done. That they're going young, and they're trying. Like Matias is our guy. They're trying. They're trying to find their young guys to develop.
Right.
And that's instead of the retirement league that we've been for so long. The business model is changing and has been changing and has been evolving. And I think it's really smart on their part now with their investment in young players, because eventually that will pay off. Some of these guys will turn into real stars, and you either keep them or you sell them for a whole lot of money, and that really helps your league out too.
Right. Well, that's why this Almendra guy, Jorge Mas, is in love with him. When I talked to him in February, he was like, "Oh my God, he said we're so close. We're just like he just has to pass his physical." It was like they were very close to signing this guy, and he's 20 years old. He was 19 at the time. He's now become 20, but he's still very young. He's at Boca Juniors, and he's gotten interest from some of the biggest teams in Spain and in England. He's apparently a really rising star in South America and Argentina. He's on their youth national teams. He's a guy that's probably going to end up on the Argentine national team. And, they want to scoop him up now while he's still affordable. So that's one that I know that they have been talking to since February and trying to close that deal. And that's the kind of guy that you're talking about, a guy who could come over here, play really well, make a name for himself, and they sell him off to a team in Europe if he wants to go there, and they get a lot of money for him, and then they have more money to buy more players, So that's definitely the Paul McDonough way. Paul McDonough, the GM here, that's his MO, that's his method, that's how he does it. And, I think he wants to do the same thing here. So we'll see. But next week, Wednesday, is when the transfer window opens. So, I think that is when you're going to start seeing movement among players into MLS is going to be next Wednesday. And then the season will start up again the following week.
Follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports. More importantly, subscribe to the Miami Herald like I do. Support local journalism, please. They do a great job.
Yes, thank you, because we just got a new owner. And it's a hedge fund. And we're all very nervous because when a hedge fund takes over your business, it's mainly about dollars and cents. And so we have been, at the Miami Herald, the reporters have been working very, very hard to try to let this company know that, we are not just an asset. In fact, they had the staff members sent postcards. They made like these actual postcards that said we are not just an asset. And reporters wrote personal messages to the new ownership like, hey, we've been here for 117 years, watching over the local government, writing about this community, caring about this community, and we want to keep doing that. And, we're not just an asset. They even sent them a big batch of Café Bustelo and some other things that are, very like typical Miami to sort of personalize the sale a little bit because, we fear that it's just, sitting in a boardroom crunching numbers.
Gordon Gekko.
And we want them.
Gordon Gekko.
Huh?
Gordon Gekko.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we want them to know, and I don't know if it'll make a difference, but we're trying to just let them know, like, hey, we're people down here. We care about this community deeply. We have been covering this community, winning Pulitzer Prizes, doing investigative journalism, covering sports, covering the entertainment, everything, the growth of the city, architecture, building, whatever, every part of this community, schools. You're not going to get it from anywhere else. I mean, no offense to all the other social media and things out there. You still need real journalists doing real journalism.
Amen.
And, so yes, please subscribe. By the way, if you just want to do a sports subscription only, if you don't care about the other sections, which you should, but if you don't, if sports is what you really care about, for $30 a year, you can get unlimited sports coverage in the Miami Herald online. You can get a full online subscription for all of our sports coverage for $30 a year, which is 8 cents per day.
It's a joke. It's a joke. It really is. It is. It's a joke.
Yeah.
I subscribe to the whole paper, but and it's not expensive either, and it's well worth it, and they do a fantastic job. And as you just heard, Jordan McPherson before, Michelle, and now Michelle. So two excellent people covering our local sports. Michelle, as always, you are a goddess. Thank you for taking time. Always appreciate it. Stay safe.
Yeah, let's talk next week. And next week, let's see if they've made some deals or whatever.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk on Wednesday because they signed somebody. Who knows?
Okay.
All
right. We'll be in touch. Take care. Bye-bye.
The great Michelle Kaufman. And I'm serious. Subscribe, man. I subscribe to the local papers because, you got to do your part, man. And this business it's getting worse and worse by the day.